I'm going to talk about how to take advantage and grow your revenue stream through the channel. And so by way of context, I'll let you know where I'm coming from, but I'd like to know where you're coming from. How many in this room are vendors that sell cloud products, by way of hands? Or just vendors, whether it's cloud or not? Okay, excellent. How many of you would consider yourself a marketplace, a platform, or a distributor, by way of hands? Okay, not a lot of that. How many would you consider yourself a channel partner, a part of this channel ecosystem? Okay, maybe a few there. And then how many would consider themselves like a consultant or somebody that sells services into the channel, by way of hands? Okay, a few. All right, so for me, by way of perspective, Pax8's a born-in-the-cloud distributor, one that got built because we thought traditional methods of distribution for cloud didn't really apply. Very interesting. I was a little late coming in here because I was listening to Amazon talk about their marketplace and how they can facilitate SaaS sales. So this will be a good perspective that I can share with you along the way. Another piece of perspective about myself is that I was a product manager for a cloud, born-in-the-cloud product called MXLogic. I was also a consultant or system integrator, so I would consider myself a part of the channel, and now a cloud distributor. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about is going to come, a lot of what I'm going to talk about is going to come from that perspective. I'm also involved in the channel community, so CompTIA is an IT association that does a lot on research and certifications. Channel Futures really focuses on what's going on in the channel. So I'm very involved and I interact with this community, so that's where I'm going to come from. So here's what I'd like to cover with you. One, why do I need you? This was influenced by somebody that I respect, this question, and I want to answer that question for you as you're considering whether you're getting into the channel. I want to talk about the channel cloud opportunity, not because most of you might not know that because of the markets that you serve. You know what the growth rate is. I'm going to present this from a channel partner's perspective. I will define the channel because I think depending on whether you're living in it or not, you're going to hear different terms. I want to clarify that and lean a little bit more into their profile, because if you're considering interacting with the channel, using it to expand your revenue opportunity, it's important to know a little bit about it. And then 5 lessons learned from tapping into the channel. This is about a lesson learned along the way, things that I wish I knew as I've experienced this that would help me, certainly from a cloud product perspective. So by way of context, so Pax8, I'm not really going to spend too much time here, but we have over 3,000 partners. The channel is who we serve. I'm going to define that for you in a little bit. We have 200 employees, and half of that are sales reps. And we really focus a lot on helping sell the products that we represent into this channel. We are very selective. And so at the end of this, we're going to talk about, and I would love to talk to you about your products, because we are selective about what we add to this marketplace, and I'll describe that in a little more detail. Very different from what I heard over at Amazon, and I think you can judge for yourself what's applicable for your products. And I'll tell you why we did that. And then because we're in the channel, you need to interact where these partners are. And this is just a list of some of those communities where they live. And so if you weren't familiar with that, you might see some of these terms come up with your marketing departments. Again, here, I really want to talk about, I'm a co-founder of Pax8. I was with MXLogic and John Street, who is our CEO. A lot of the experience that we had around this channel came about from MXLogic. And so for anybody who raised their hand about having a product, we started selling direct. It was a born-in-the-cloud product. We didn't believe that we needed the channel, so we sold direct. Okay, so this is where I'm coming from. And then later we got into the channel, and I will tell you that we didn't do it well. And MXLogic sold an email filtering security service. So when you think about a product like that, very easy to turn on. So we thought, well, we don't really need anybody to help us sell that. We'll just make it available, have an online marketplace, let them come to us and buy it. And that was ultimately not where we grew. And we grew when we added the channel. So that's where we're coming from. Why do I need you? In a room full of people that were channel focused, and somebody asked this question, and the channel community was shocked that somebody would ask that question. And so I want to be able to answer this, because some of what came up, these 3 misperceptions, were things that we talked about, actually. And I want to cover that. So the first one is, when you're talking about opportunity and channel in the cloud, all customers will buy direct. This is what many of us thought at the Born in the Cloud product vendor, that was going to be the case. And I'm going to share some stats with you to say that this is something that I understand why you might think that, especially if you make your product available and it is easy. But I believe it's a misperception, and I'll share with you some numbers about this. The second thing is online marketplaces will replace the channel. You couldn't go into a channel meeting without talking about disintermediation. I don't need the person in the middle, and it's just going to be a shopping cart experience. Why wouldn't I do that first? You get farther reach that way. Third, near and dear to me, distribution is dead. Somebody actually told us, I think I'm having a 1970s conversation when I talk about distribution. But what you'll learn when you're dealing with cloud products, distribution has to be redefined, and that's what Pax8 set about to do. And we can go into more detail about that. I'm not here to give a commercial, but I would be happy to describe some of those things at the end of this. Why do I need the channel? It is about scale and reach. This is something that we came to the conclusion as MX Logic, is that you can't hire enough sales rep to reach the market that you're trying to serve. And the perspective that I'm coming from here is that markets that we serve primarily, not exclusively, were SMB. And so if you want to reach all those SMB, what we learned was they have trusted advisors. They seek the advice of those trusted advisors to get their opinion, to help them set it up, to help them integrate. And this is what we learned was we couldn't hire enough to reach this community, and they existed. And if we were trying to sell them a product, they were going to go to these trusted advisors to ask what they thought. Okay? So let me talk now. The cloud stats I'm going to show you here are what would influence a channel community of IT advisors to move to the cloud. And we actually help them do that. Many of them are selling on-premise services, break-fix services, consulting services. They're actually trying to get into the cloud, get into managed service, and I'll define that a little bit. But Gartner came out and said, by 2020, $1 trillion will shift to the cloud. And so if I'm somebody who sells networking on-premise services, I can't ignore that, because my current business may be going away. My customer could come to me and say, the server that I have on-prem, I actually want to put it in the cloud. Here's a breakdown of where that goes. So this is a busy slide, but suffice it to say, on the far left, those are categories that would be associated with on-premise technology, and the dollar amounts in 2016, so I'll pick one out. If you look at application software, the cloud segment is called SaaS. $144 billion was spent on that application software in 2016. $36 billion of that was SaaS. By 2020, it will, and that's 25%. By 2020, that'll be 37%. So the idea, this is where the puck is going. So if you were, and I would have a conversation like this to a bunch of IT providers and outsourced IT to a small business, they would say, I'm pretty comfortable because there's a lot of money being spent on these on-premise segments. But if you look at where it's going, it's massive, and you want to take advantage of it. Because many of them, if they don't, they're not going to be around, okay? Just a comment here about the SMB market. If you have a product that's enterprise, the cloud products that we represent are serviced by them, but the big opportunity and what's hard to attract is the SMB. The long tail, the SMB is what we refer to, and if you look at it just from an employee count, this is census data, 58 million for 500 employees and lower, 55 million, 1,000 and above. And then the mid-market, that's a part of a market we would try and pursue. A lot of business there. And then in the stat on the left, cloud computing is viewed by 80% of the SMB as a solution that contributes to business growth. So this is where the puck is going, and this is what obviously we all want to take advantage of. If you're going to take advantage of selling into it, you've got to have a degree of automation. We're going to speak to that in just a second. The other thing is the compound annual growth rate associated with this SMB spending in the cloud is over double digit, 100 billion by 2020. And again, if you're a technology outsourced IT shop and you want to follow the money, this is where it is, and the growth rate is something you can't avoid. So let's talk about the channel. How many here, if we say the channel, understand what that means by way of hands? Doesn't need to be redefined because you've been talking about it. Okay, about half. So these are just different routes to market. I think the top one is what many of us, MX Logic was certainly in this camp, I want customers to buy from me directly. In the middle part is now Amazon is playing here. If you have a distributor or somebody that's able to aggregate and let you as a customer buy from them, then you can interact with that group. We live in the bottom section. And really the second box to the left, your left of the customer, is the group that we would refer to as the channel, and then we are the distributor that's aggregating on behalf of those partners. And so let's lean into that a little bit. So the channel company who provides events and covers this space extensively would say there's 180,000 MSPs in the US. Now that number is big, but it does include a lot of single shingle type folks. There's another group that's covered that would say there's tools that they use, the more sophisticated ones, and that would be estimated maybe 20 to 40,000 of them. But there's a lot. And if you're thinking about trying to reach more customers, that's the base that's out there trying to reach it. Another group that covers this space really well, Channel E2Es, revealed this from Markets and Markets, $193.34 billion spent by 2019 at a compound annual growth rate of 12.5. So to the extent that you would say, well, the channel is going to get disintermediated, you wouldn't have that kind of growth rate. Some will die off because they're not shifting to the cloud. So that's why managed services and MSP is something that we are hearing a lot about, and that's a trend that it isn't going away. And for channel partners that aren't in it, they want to be in it. So I'm going to share with you some stats around this. This is coming from CompTIA, a member of CompTIA. They provide and cover this industry very well. So this is something that we lean into. Who are these channel partners? Resellers, solution providers, consultants, system integrators. They would all call themselves a channel partner, outsourced IT. This is the mix if you think about what their focus is. And you'll notice the purple section, 14%, that's managed services. We spend a lot of time helping partners who have the other percentages represented. They sell hardware, they sell consulting services, they sell software in some form or fashion to get into more of managed services. Because this is a trend that small businesses are adopting and embracing to have an outsourced IT group, leverage the expertise of somebody else. The drivers here in terms of why would they want to get into the cloud, I focus on the top four, which is important here. Customer demand is driving this. And so what that means is they're asking their MSP, their channel partners, about these products. The stats are pretty conclusive about this. Amazon raised it. In terms of how much research an end customer is doing on the products they may buy, which could be yours, it's extensive. But ultimately, if you've relied upon an outsourced group to manage your IT, you may seek their opinion, and you will. So MSPs need to be aware of what products are out there. Recurring revenue is a very, very powerful force and worthy of attention all by itself. Faster time to deployment and more service opportunities is very important about this community. When they sell cloud services, what they're looking to do is attach services to it. IDC did a study for Microsoft and found that for every $1 of Microsoft cloud products sold, the more successful MSPs were attaching $4.14 to that. What that means is, if I'm selling Office 365, I'm selling other services. What would it be? Setup, consulting, configuration, policy settings. You know, as a product person, I wanted something that just got turned on. You don't really need to get trained. You know, the setup is streamlined. But ultimately, each business, as a snowflake, views itself as something that's unique, and they're going to these channel partners to ask for advice on how to leverage the power of these tools. The source. This is interesting to me because I compete with traditional distribution who get in this game. It's a very busy slide. I will say this. The colors represent what a channel partner would call themselves. Solution provider, MSP, cloud, SaaS provider, IT consultant. My view is they call themselves all of that. So really what's relevant here is look where they're buying, look where they're sourcing. A traditional distributor, a SaaS application exchange or marketplace, SaaS Max, App Direct, Amazon Marketplace, a SaaS-specific distributor. That's what Pax8 is. There's a few of us out there, not a lot of us. Direct with the ISV, those are small numbers. In fact, for many of the vendors that I talk to, more and more, they want to leverage play. Can't deal with a small partner or a small customer coming to them to buy 5 seats of something. And that's why you need to take advantage of this ecosystem. SaaS revenue. This is really significant to me because we focus on those that have less than 50% of revenue from SaaS, okay? And that's the majority of this circle. So if you look at the yellow and the gray, 15% and 28%, that represents 50% and greater, okay? 28%. So this is why there's a massive opportunity here. They haven't really embraced it, and I really think this is why you can expand your reach and they can theirs if your product fits within the context of a channel community. This is something that IDC put together for Microsoft, and I found this the most significant. For MSPs with greater than 50% revenue from cloud offerings, look at their performance. Twice the revenue of somebody who had less than 50%, 1.8 times the growth, 1.5 times the profit. And we speak to this channel community. If they get into the products that you sell on a recurring nature, they can increase the valuation of their businesses. And many of them are looking to either sell, consolidate, or pass on from a legacy perspective. And so there's a lot of motivation for this community to embrace the cloud. So this is why I think it's a huge opportunity for somebody who has a product that they look for. I'm not saying that all products do, but if it's a powerful engine, and they have the trust. Amazon in the other room was talking about the trust that their brand has. And so for product that fits well in that bucket, meaning I can download it and I can get it and I know what it is, it absolutely works. A lot of the products that we deal need configuration, setup, integration with the rest of an ecosystem of products. And that's where this channel community comes to play. I want to talk about the lessons learned. How am I doing on time? Okay, awesome. I want to leave some time for some questions. So these are things that I wish I knew as a product person in the cloud, as a SaaS distributor coming off the ground, and as a channel partner. So I just want to share these with you as you're thinking about, well, how do I do this? How do I get successful here? And let's talk about this. Channel commitment. Commit long-term to the channel. I've seen this. We did this. One pass, it's MX Logic. We got in the game. We said, all right, the channel is going to expand my reach. My numbers will go up. They'll go up fast, and they don't. Then they get out. And I'll tell you, I've lived this, and this is what this looks like. I had a list up there that said, here's where they hang out. These are their watering holes. Go there. Get a booth. Talk about your stuff. All right, cool. Well, the first time I went, I had great interaction. I didn't have any sales. And I went again, same thing. They're kicking the door. They're maybe doing one trial. But then, there's not a lot of business. And then you leave. The channel is used to this. There's a trust factor because many of these channel partners have had experience with vendors who said, I tried the channel, that didn't work, I'm going direct. I'm going to go get their customer. And you'll kill yourself in the channel if you do that. So you really need to decide, I'm committing to it and I'm going to be there. Somebody told me very wise, they said, there's an 18-month rule. You're not going to hit full momentum until 18 months. That's the amount of time it takes to build their trust, really get emotion going. I'm not saying that you're not going to make money for 18 months. That's not true. But if you think about really humming, MX Logic lived this. And at that 18-month mark, here's what we noticed. We were helping our channel partners sell our product to their customers. And we were assisting those sales. And it was the first one and the second one and the fifth one. But by the 8th, they got it. And then it was the bluebirds. They came in. They were coming in because they learned how to sell it. They understood what its value prop was, and they did it themselves because they wanted. They wanted to own the last mile of their customer base. And that's the power of the channel. And that just cannot be dismissed. Our growth rate shot up when this really kicked in, and I firmly believe it was that amount of time to let the channel community know you're in there, you're committed, and you're staying. Positive sales comp, the most powerful thing we did. We sold direct, and we sold to the channel. When we didn't do it well, reps actually put more money in their pocket because they didn't have to give up the channel margin. When we changed the sales comp, everything changed. We really embraced the channel, and we got successful. And there's a lot of details around how to do that right, but the successful ones have a positive sales comp for those reps that sell through the channel. Channel-oriented marketing collateral, really finding a way to market through your channel partner is important. Co-branding, thinking that there is a channel partner who's trying to represent their own services along with yours is an important lesson that we learned. Sales on demand, that's a big part of our recipe, and this really works. Many think, this doesn't make sense. If I have the channel, they'll sell for me so I don't have to hire reps. The successful models embrace the fact that if you're doing good brand coverage, leads will come in, but if you are interacting with your sales reps and of these channel partners and your distributors, you really can kick this thing into high gear because you have support. That's what we do. We'll run a demo of your products to support this because channel partners take a little bit of time to get used to your products. And then consistent channel presence and message. Staying in there and committing is just something that we learned really made a difference. Build a partner management console. Great products without recognizing that a channel partner who may have 50, 100, 200, 800 customers does not want to log into your product to management, set it up, run the console. They want to do it, and they want to log into one place, see their customer base, and be able to set up the customer configuration from that console. We refer to that as a partner management console. Very, very powerful. We've seen channel-centric companies win here, especially if you have more than one product. If you have a management console, it makes it easier for them to administer their many customers. If you don't have it, we've actually had the channel tell us, hey, when you have a management console, I'll come back. I love your product, but without that, it makes it harder for me to manage. I don't think this would keep you from getting in the game, but this is an advantage you can take. You really can take advantage of this. I'm finding that still many vendors haven't done this yet, and those that have, they rock it. This is important. It's a multi-customer view, and providing summary dashboard information is helpful. A monthly billing term. I'm not going to go deep here. A lot of people that I talk to, they want to sell an annual term, especially if you had an on-premise solution. You weren't born in the cloud. I think for anybody who is born in the cloud, they recognize the power of recurring revenue. Proration, co-termination, a monthly bill. Don't do anniversary billing. Stay away from it. These partners, it's too much noise. If you order something and then you're generating an anniversary bill that renews in 1 year and then you order 2 more seats next week, it's too much noise. Make it simple. Prorate, co-terminate, have 12 monthly bills, and the channel will embrace you. Provide APIs for provisioning and billing. More and more, this is something that I think is changing. If you don't provide an immediate access experience, you could get left behind. Again, if you're born in the cloud, you may appreciate this. I can tell you that as MX Logic, we didn't start here. We always wanted to build features, and we weren't really focused. None of our developers thought APIs were sexy, but they're powerful. And whether you're in a marketplace like Amazon's or others, or Pax8, immediate provision is the expectation of the customer base. And so spend time on that, and you'll win. And if you have a consumption-based product, have an API to get that consumption data too. Think Azure, anything that's billed in arrears. If you can simplify that, again, that'll be a reason why the channel can embrace you. Partner with channel experts. Now, obviously, this is something that, for anybody who's been into the channel, take advantage of the scar tissue, the lessons learned. There's a lot of channel communities out there that you can participate in. On that other slide, you would have seen CompTIA, HTG, Robin Robbins. There's a lot of communities. This group talks to each other. Like the sessions that I saw when I came in here, these round tables, that's a part of their business. They share their stories. If I'm in one geo, I can talk to somebody in a different geo about what best practices are. And some of these communities are very involved. Be a part of them. And again, if you commit to them, they'll embrace you. Cloud marketplaces, that's why you got to play here. You just got to play here. This is a powerful force in terms of where products are being sold. You need to be a part of that. Integration partners. A channel community, they use tools, applications called ConnectWise, Autotask, Kaseya. These might be foreign to you, but they use these businesses, these applications to run their business. And so you need to be a part of this to take advantage of what they do. And new distribution partners. There's a bunch of us out here that, we've got the scar tissue to share some of our experiences about, what to avoid or fast track this. I encourage you to take advantage of those that are out there. I mean, Pax8's not the only one, but I can talk very specifically about what's working and what's not, and I'm sure a number of these newer players can as well. So with that, I want to open up for any questions you may have.
Josh, of course I have questions. I invited you.
Yes.
So Ryan, I love Pax8. I'm a huge fan. Also a huge fan of you personally. The reason why I invited you here is Pax8 is, I think, the fastest cloud distributor, fastest growing cloud distributor of all time. Many people don't know you guys because you're an IT channel, but you have been super successful where other distributors have had trouble, struggling to get transaction velocity, and you guys have a lot of transaction velocity. What do you think is the difference that's made Pax8 successful?
I think...
by the way, the only reason I brought you here is to ask you this one question, so thank you for coming.
Yeah. I think our success, a big part of it is that we were not tied to any legacy process, so we built this from the ground up to be focused on what makes this channel community successful. And that, along with cloud being in our DNA, is where the success comes from. And I can give you a laundry list of the individual things we've done. And it's not one thing in there, Sunir. I really believe that it's an example of listening and saying, okay, well, this is where they're having trouble, so build this. One example of this right now, just to give you a plate where we think differently, everyone talks about bundling cloud products. That's nirvana, right? I'm a channel partner. I'm talking to my customer. I want you to buy multiple things at once. When I do that, it's stickier. You stay with me longer. The issue is when a customer comes in and they want to buy, they may not want to buy 3 things, want to buy 1 thing. So how do I actually take advantage of an upsell, cross-sell, reduce customer acquisition costs? Because if I can do that, I can be more efficient. If I'm more efficient, I make more money. And if you buy more things, the stickiness, the reliance, all those things, retention become better. And so we built something into our marketplace called Pax8 Stacks that is a way that we cast visibility of all the technology solutions that our partner is selling to their customer base. Because when you have 50, 100 customers, it's difficult to figure out, well, what have you sold? What's the hottest seller? I mean, we do have marketplaces that say, well, people also bought this. But do you have a view across all of your customers to see what types of solutions they bought so you can see gaps? That's just an example. That didn't exist before. Where did that come about? Because we're listening to this community, watching where it's evolving, and we're tracking it to support it. And that's just one example of what we're doing. I think the other thing is our messaging is really clear. We want to be a wingman, a cloud wingman to these partners so they know that it's not about our way of doing business, it's about we'll adapt our way to you. They've been underserved. They've been disappointed. They've been frustrated in terms of not having proper vendor support or legacy traditional distributor support. And so when somebody came along and says, I'll take 1 seat, I'll let you kick the tire, try it, and we'll be right there to help you sell to a customer. Those are the things that I think in terms of establishing trust. There's two parts of our recipe, Sunir, that I think it explains this, is building trust to those services, and the other thing is simplifying this process. If anybody in the room thinks it's just a selling challenge, it is not. It is quote to cash. Because you can have a cool product and I can sell it, but if I don't get you onboarded, I don't have a bill that's simple and fast and you're supported, you won't stay in the boat and then you won't get recurring revenue. And you need to understand that. So we see a lot of people just focus on the front end of that, and if you don't focus on the back end of that, simplify and assure a good customer experience and partner experience, you won't differentiate. And I think that's where we're shining. It's the partner experience is something that I think makes us, that facilitates the growth. But thank you for that question. That's awesome. Any other questions? I'll make one more statement. If you have a product that you think might apply to this community or a tool that would help them succeed in what they do in terms of servicing customers, again, primarily SMB, but in mid-market, I want to talk to you because we're always looking for innovative and new products. And again, we're very selective, so we're not going to have the number of options that an Amazon will. And that's because this recipe, it has to work in terms of a good partner experience. So we dedicate all our services to the select customers and products that we sell.
All right, thanks a lot, Ryan.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Good job.
Thank you.
Let's give him a hand.